So we got another guest here in the Kyle Johnson co-hosted series. His name's Isaac Diaz. These guys have a little history. You know, they were kind of in the same part of the world at one time. I say this almost every episode, but I just keep saying it in case this is the first one you've seen. I'm not going to introduce Isaac to you. There's Google. There's so many things. We just want to have a conversation. I'll tell you this much. He's a high performer, at least in saddle bronc riding, and probably other places in his life. And I'm interested in talking to him. So, Isaac, thanks for coming. Kyle, thanks for being here. How would you describe riding a saddle bronc?
Harder for me than most. I don't know. There's, just like anything, there's easy days and hard days.
Yeah. Before we got rolling here, we were just talking, and I was like, dude, I want to hear what made you successful. Like, you are successful. Do you think you are? I mean, just because I say it doesn't make it true. And then you're like, well, I just don't know how to quit, and that's kind of a cowboy thing. It's a cowboy perspective for sure. A lot of successful people will say something like that. I don't know. I just never quit. Is that how you think about it?
Yeah. It's just something I started doing when I was in high school, and then it just rolled on into the pros, and it's created a life for me and my family, and I think every rodeo cowboy kind of hits that point in their life where they just they're still doing it because it pays the bills and it's fun, but there's going to be a turning point, at some point where you got to kind of venture into something different. And so I kind of think that's where I'm at. Like, I want to keep rodeoing because I still thoroughly enjoy it, but there's more important things at home, that I want to kind of get closer to home and root there.
Well, so like, this is like me just being honest, and I would love to hear your thought about it, but it's kind of like, I don't even think you rodeo unless you're making the NFR. It's kind of like, I'm used to seeing you at the NFR, so the second you're not there, I'm like, well, he must have quit. But that's not true. You changed did you actually change your goals? Like, talk to us a little bit about that. Like, what, are you wanting to go to the NFR again? Are you kind of done with that? Like, how do you think about it?
No, more of the years, I've missed the NFR more years than I've made it, as far as every single year. I mean, this is my 21st year, so every single year I've tried.
There you go.
And I've dang sure tried. I think the least rodeos I've been to in that many years is like 85 or something like that. So just because I'm not there wasn't because I didn't try.
Well, but that's, to me, that takes some vulnerability to say that out loud.
Oh, absolutely. Like,
hey, I'm trying. I just didn't make it, man. Why are you punching on me like that?
Yeah. Well, the good thing about our sport now is when I first started, you had to make it in order to keep the bills paid and to stay ahead. You had to be there. Yeah. Otherwise, you just went backwards. But the way things are nowadays, the top 30 in the world are they're making a living. And that's a huge improvement. I mean, that's doubled in the numbers from in 2005 when I started. Yeah. So, yeah, a guy could kind of fly under the radar to the general public and still be making good money in rodeo. And with sponsors and everything else, it's pretty endless.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to even mention that from that outlook or insight, because, like, to me, ever since I've known Isaac and have first seen him and been around him, I never looked at the numbers or if he made it or what he won again. He's always been a hero. Yeah. I've always looked up to him. He's always carried himself well when I was around him. And, like, unbeknownst to him, I've looked up to him incredibly and immensely through the little bit I've seen him at practice when I was in college. Like, I was at Tarleton rodeoing for Tarleton, and to some people that's a really big thing, but I was the kid there wanting Isaac's autograph when he would come help us. Like, he has always been someone I looked up to and idolized, and I never looked at the numbers or if he made it, because I had so much respect for who I thought he was that I've just always saw him as a hero.
Yeah. It's a decent, I kind of like the fact that the conversation went that way a little bit, because it gives us a chance to say, hey, everybody, all of that stuff doesn't matter that much, right? At the end of the day, are you going after life in a way that you enjoy and being successful in your own mind? That, to me, is what we're all saying here. It's like, that's really where the fun stuff is. So you did it in high school. Did you come from like a ranching? How did you ever even get on the first Bronc?
So I was actually not in a rodeo family at all, Western family at all. I credit all that to a man named Mike Fletcher down in South Florida. He rode Broncs for a long, long time. He's a gold card member in the PRCA, and he kind of carried me along when I was a young kid and just kind of got me involved in all that stuff, and just grew up just day working down there and doing some cowboy stuff. And my parents were awesome. They supported me in whatever I wanted to do. My dad was a mailman, just retired he was 40 years in the post office, retired right here in Stephenville. So they just they did what they had to do, and they always supported us to do whatever we wanted to do. And all 4 of us kids went every different direction you could imagine.
Tell me about that, because I was wanting to ask, like, tell me about your siblings. Are you oldest, youngest, middle? Like, how does that line
I'm the
out?
third.
Third?
Yeah, third one down. My brother, he rode bareback horses in high school and team roped and stuff, rode a lot of colts and stuff growing up, but then he took the music route, and he's a heck of an artist, and he does that music editing, and he's got a band and stuff down in South Florida, and my sister works for Carnival Cruise Lines. She's my younger sister. And then my older sister lives right up in Gordon, right up by us.
Yeah.
Has a little girl, and they live up there. Everybody's close, or I've got half the family close by.
Yeah.
Now my parents live just by us too. Yeah. It was an interesting childhood, but I don't know. I always lean on the fact that it goes to show you could kind of go any direction as long as you follow the right people, and I try to speak that to a lot of kids that I get to talk to. And it doesn't really matter where you come from, as long as you pick good people to follow behind, like the Fletcher family they were as great a people as you'll ever meet. He's a cowboy preacher as well. And so I had good people to kind of carry me along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So would you talk about like the next thing? Like sometimes people ask if I missed rodeo or something, and 1,000,000% I miss bucking horses, but that's like the only aspect I can honestly say I miss about rodeoing is just the bucking horses was like my obsession, but it wasn't being gone or traveling or working out or that kind of thing that I could like stay hooked on when there was other things that I was more interested in, like cowboying or riding colts or staying home or whatever. And that's kind of what prompted me to walk away, but that's also why I don't think I've looked back at it bitterly or felt like I missed it, whereas I think some people that are very bitter and miss it more than they probably should never found that next thing. It was just they got hurt and now rodeo's done, or they ran out of money and now rodeo's done, but there was no next thing. So of course you miss the one thing that you feel like you have. So I would just be interested, and I'm sure a lot of people also would be, as to like what your next thing is that you talk about finding more important things and being at home for. Like
you say, I've been fortunate enough to never get really hurt real bad. And there's a lot of people that go down that road, and that's the nature of the sport. That's what sucks about it is it's taken from some people that have all the ability in the world to go as far as they want, and they can't control that. But that's the great thing about our industry is there's so many avenues that a guy can take and still be around this awesome circle of people, Anybody that's involved in the Western industry, whether it's cattle or rodeo or what have you, we're all connected, emotionally and mentally. Like everything about us is pretty much the same. We're all after the same things. We all have the same morals. And so that's kind of leads me into what you just asked. Like I've just recently, through one of my sponsors, I met the Hayden Outdoors crew out of Windsor, Colorado, and I just got licensed here in Texas to sell real estate. And so I'd been working for them guys for the last couple months. And they're all, I mean, every one of them is like rodeo backgrounds, hunting backgrounds, cattle, ranching. And so it's just endless. Like, and I actually, like, this is something that I thoroughly enjoy. Like, this, the little bit that I've gotten my feet wet in it, like, I love it. I mean, it's like I could ride colts every day of the week if I want to at home. And I ride a few outside horses, and we've got our own horse program. And I love that, don't get me wrong. But certain things I get burnt out on pretty fast, you know, and rodeo burns me out if I'm gone very long. But I don't know, like this avenue, I'm just, might be because it's new and fresh, I'm not sure, but it's something that excites me.
And that's important, and I think it's rare once a lot of people are beyond 25. And I don't know what it is, if it's fear or they just don't realize you can, or too many people have told them they shouldn't. But it's not very common to continue to find new avenues to full-heartedly pursue through adulthood. And that's what's helped my excitement in life and not get down on negatives, is diving into these new callings or these new pursuits and being all in with them. And then everything feels new, but you can remember what it was like when the last thing felt new and how far you took it and how much better you could have done. So you can apply everything that bareback riding would have taught you into buckarooing, and then you can take buckarooing into being self-employed, and then you could apply going down the road for as long as you did to real estate and the negatives or the obstacles that may come. And I think those new pursuits are what keep you incredibly mentally healthy.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, totally agree. You know, it's rodeo, it prepares us for stuff afterwards. Some guys take it in a negative way, and some guys take it in a positive. I mean, being around a lot of people and being able to talk to people and rodeo and stuff, that's incredibly valuable after rodeo. You know, people don't realize how valuable that is whenever you're right in the middle of it. And you can go and do whatever you want. I mean, just like you, for instance, you know, capitalizing on the social media stuff, and there's avenues to go, and nowadays there's so many different ways to take wearing a cowboy hat and be able to make a living underneath it. And because of the internet, social media and stuff like that, where you don't have to be a good bronc rider or a good team roper in order to make money. There's a lot of people
don't even
that
wear a hat, you know. Like Kyle, a lot of times he might not even have a hat on, you know. But
it's
he's
so much easier to get on a plane.
yeah. We all wear them. Yeah, we all wear caps.
I mean, like, I think Kyle deals with some of that microscope thanks to the social media thing, you know. And I like to poke fun at it a little bit, but he takes it really good. It's like, who I am isn't defined by the clothes that are on me. You know, it's a piece of it. It points in a certain direction, but it doesn't. It's not the end all be all.
And like some of this stuff may be frustrating or annoying with the internet and social media, but it is the day and age we're in. And without the internet, with where I was from and the family I grew up with, and not really having a lot of like guidance, like I kind of had to go find people to support me and help me. I would have not even known what Stephenville was without the internet. I would have not known Tarleton. I couldn't have found Craig. I couldn't have. And then after that, I wouldn't have known what buckarooing was. I wouldn't have moved to Canada. I wouldn't have known Buck Brannaman or Pat Puckett, or like I couldn't have even imagined any of the pursuits I went on without access to the internet from where I was from. So it's a blessing as much as it can be a curse to me.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, do you specifically stay off of it, or is it just like you were talking before, probably before we even started recording, like you're just almost never on social media? Like, is that a purposeful thing, or is it just the truth?
I was on it there for a while, like before I was the director in the bronc riding. I had a social media, like I'd put all my sponsor stuff on there, and I was going that direction, trying to capitalize on that. And just for personal, you know, I would get on there and watch what was going on in the rodeo world and stuff like that. And whenever you're out there battling on the road, you can get on there and watch rides that might have happened the day after you were up somewhere, and it gets you frustrated or whatever. And so that's just something that I had to kind of push aside so I could keep a more positive attitude. And that's just a fault within myself. A lot of guys will take that and run with it in a positive way, where me, I was using it in a negative way. And so I went ahead and deleted plus it was just taking too much of my time. And I noticed myself flipping through there too much. And anytime I was with my kids and my wife, it creates a bad habit, and it takes time away from them. And so I just completely deleted it altogether. But now that I'm getting into this real estate stuff, I'm kind of having to get kind of more involved in that stuff. And
you got to let it back in. It's almost like a monster in a way, It's like it's a monster. It can be a monster in your life, like almost any addiction or anything like that. So, you got to let it back in, but keep an eye on it. And you're saying some stuff that's really convicts me, because I spend quite a bit of time on social media, building brands, trying to leverage it to grow audience for this podcast and all those kind of things, and watching other people's lives instead of living my own. And that's not a good thing.
Yeah, it'll suck you in when you're not. Yeah,
well, it's built for that.
Yeah,
the whole purpose of the thing is to sell your attention. That's the whole purpose of it.
It's a double-edged sword for sure. Yeah.
And it's interesting too. He admits the doom scroll deal, and he just got away from it, which is an incredible decision to make. And I had to do that out in the desert or in my leather shop in the winter, because I was so secluded that's your only tie to the world. And you can act like you don't care about it and want to ignore it, but it's a pretty addicting thing to get sucked into, whether you care about it or not. And then when our stuff started taking off, it would be easy to get the impression that I'm just playing dress-up buckaroo on the internet, or I need this attention, or I'm doing this for fame, or like it's an unhealthy relationship with the internet. But truly, I don't do any of it other than being the content in the stuff. It's Morgan's passion to be this online marketer.
Yeah.
And then when it started getting that big, the first stage was I was no longer scrolling anything but our stuff, at least. And I was just going through our stuff, and I had zero interest in the rest.
Yeah.
And then it started getting so big to where that was getting unhealthy. So now I just check the numbers from a business standpoint. Are these doing well? And if they're not doing well, why? And other than that, it's kind of automatically on its own quit that habit for me by getting so wrapped up into it, and then from a first-hand perspective seeing how dumb comments are, what little all these videos mean, what little all this stuff could come from, how dumb people sound with what they say. And it made it incredibly easy for me now to ignore, but not ignore from a bitter mindset. It's just simply acknowledging how silly all this stuff is and what little it matters and how little I'm even trying for this stuff to work well. It's just what works well. It helped me get healthier on that. And I don't know the last time I've scrolled a For You page or other people's stuff. It's really cut me off of all of that, because I've seen it from a personal level of you ought not probably get sucked into that stuff too much.
Yeah. This is for Isaac. Or I'm curious, did you come from, it sounds like your dad was a mailman. Did you have money? Was it easy to rodeo, or once you started rodeoing, you had to win to get to keep rodeoing?
No, I went to lots of rodeos with just enough to get there. Lots and lots of rodeos that. Me and my brother grew up working. We were homeschooled our whole life. I mean, from beginning to end till I went to college, which is also why I was a little behind going into college. It was hard.
Yeah.
And
did you get recruited to college?
I did.
Yeah.
Bobby Scott recruited me to Vernon. I went there for 2 years, and then I didn't plan on going anywhere else. And I ran into Mark Eakin at the Mi Familia in Stephenville about a year after I was just flying solo. And he talked me into going back to school. But yeah, no, I remember when I left Florida, I was on my permit. I was 18 most of my senior year, so I was on my permit, and then I was going to a few circuit rodeos, and I was going to amateur rodeos and high school rodeos. And I won third at Okeechobee at the Brighton Rodeo in February, and I won just enough to buy this old 85 extended cab 4-speed Ford pickup, a little F-150. And I remember it had cherry leather seats in it, and it was really nice, but it was old, it was 20 years old.
Yeah.
And I bought this pickup. My dad found it, and we went over there and looked at it, and I bought it, and that's what I took out to Texas with me. I remember whenever I rolled up into the college there, I had a blister on my hand from unspinning the fuel cap so many times on the way out there, literally, like it was a metal cap and you had to crank it, and that thing sucked the fuel down. You didn't want a rodeo in it, but it was reliable. It got me out there, no problem.
Yeah.
But,
that's a great story, the damn blister from the fuel cap.
Yeah.
And that's a really common topic when discussing rodeo, as far as like how much financial backing you had, because that's such an easy, blatant, obvious thing to look at, and something that could appear like would make it easier for some or others. And I used to even fall into it of like, man, I just don't have enough, and some people have more, and this is on and on and on and on and on. And the more and more I grow, and the more I do things without any of that, and the more I get through and prove to myself, like, man, I did well, and I look back and see how much better I could have done with just an ounce of belief in myself.
Mm-hmm.
I think mental support and mental backing is 10 gazillion times more valuable than financial backing, because I have friends even that had a tremendous amount of unlimited financial backing, but their parents could just not see rodeo as a positive thing, and they fought their head just as much as the rest of them, or anyone really. And I think for anything, not just rodeo, life in general, anything at all, I think mental backing and mental confidence, but putting in the work and effort to get true confidence, but knowing you're not doing anything wrong to pursue a dream, is the most important support you could ever go find.
Absolutely. Yeah, like I say, I had great people in my corner, rodeo guys, older rodeo guys. I grew up around a lot of older men that had been there, done that. But I grew up operating.
You don't think about saddle bronc riders coming out of Florida, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
no, nobody does.
Really? Most of them are coming out of the North, Midwest, something like that. So to me, that's a cool piece of your story.
Yeah, we're kind of known for team ropers and bull riders, but the rodeo's huge down there. Yeah. People don't realize that. There's so many cattle in Florida, not as many as there was when I was growing up, but there's just a lot of really good cowboys down there. And there's gotten to be quite a few good bucking horses too. When I was first getting started, there was a little bit more few and far between, but there was a lot of them. As far as the good ones, there was less than there is now, but there was plenty of broncs down there to get on. Yeah. I didn't leave the house without my gear bag and my saddle in the back of my pickup, and that's a fact. Like anywhere that they were bucking colts, I'd just crawl on. But I don't like we were talking it. I grew up not worried about, like, I operated on being broke all the time, so it didn't scare me to put my last little bit of money into a rodeo. I was young and I was whatever. We go work and make some more.
Yeah, right.
And I think that's I don't know that that's a good way to be, but I don't know. I think if I wouldn't have done that, I would have quit and never had gone down that road, and I might be financially better off than I am now. I don't know, but I'm sure grateful for my life that it made. And I think a lot of kids get scared that they're going to run out of money and stuff. And
I mean, that's part of
yeah.
I just hope we can navigate a conversation around this because I was about as good a calf roper really as there was. I could rope as good as anybody, but I couldn't play the game of rodeo. I was just always thinking, if I don't win, I suck. I'll never win again. I'll never have the money to go down the road. So although I had, lots of momentum, I had horses available, trailers, trucks, I had this mindset that I wasn't anybody unless I had the best, which was a terrible mindset. I don't want my kids to have that. I don't want other people to have it because it's terrible. It doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, can you put your finger on how or why you were just well, I've been broke. I'll be broke again. I'll go make some more money. I'm not worried about it. Do you know how you were able to do that? We grew up in a trailer park, right in the middle of Davie. And like I say, we just, our parents supplied more than what we needed. But as far as anything we wanted to do outside of our house, it was on us. And so you go get it, go to work, go get it. But, we also, like I say, we were homeschooled. So my mom let us carry on a job. And I think all that was what made it where it didn't scare me to be like that, and to this day, I mean, it's probably a bad thing, but if we're getting a little short on funds, my wife she's not the same as me in this way. She'll get a little more worried about things and be like, what are we going to do? And I'm just don't worry about it. Yeah.
We'll work it out, And I think that's why me and her work so good together. Is she motivates me to be a little more aggressive in certain areas, and then I motivate her to
calm down,
let it go a little bit.
Yeah. So,
and it's interesting because I come up broke my whole life too, but it never bothered me. I was never bothered. It was never a negative thing. It never worried me. And you seen me when I had no confidence and hadn't had bareback riding figured out, and I was a really good bullfighter, but you only seen me when I was not a good bareback rider, and because I simply had no confidence. So even when you guys could see good things in me or say you did this good or you're doing this good or we all go through this, it's not that bad, I couldn't believe any of that. I would just think people were just lying to me or being nice to me because I was fixated on the negatives that were implanted in my mind around rodeo. And it had nothing to do with how much money I had. It was just how my upbringing or family looked at rodeo and if you did it in the first place and you could be doing so many other things. So I just fought my head so badly about just doing it in the first place that I couldn't get out of my own way.
Mm-hmm.
And after college, and then breaking my leg and then going to Canada to just totally clean slate and not care about a single thing in the world but riding bareback horses, I soared.
Yep.
And figured it out and had a tremendous amount of confidence and also was having a tremendous amount of fun. And that used to make me shake my head when people would say well, remember to just have fun, and I would think yeah, but isn't it supposed to be important? Aren't you supposed to try hard? Aren't you supposed to win? This can't be for fun. And then when confidence started rolling, I thought, oh, this is, just a tremendous amount of fun.
Yeah.
And then there's been times, once at an amateur deal in Minnesota, and then 3 different times with the same secretary up in Canada, I knew them well enough that I'd walked into the deal and said, I have no money, but I drew pretty good. Just say I paid him and take it from my check because I promise I'll get one. And I did all 4 times that I did that with zero fear, full of confidence.
You're more honest than me. I didn't tell him I didn't have any money.
Just write a check, baby.
So you know, I've gotten away with that stuff, but then I had confidence. And it's always intrigued me, like when I looked at that, it took me so long to find that because of who I was around and how I started. Mm-hmm. So even when I went down to Tarleton, it took me like 4 years for that to have a positive effect on me, because I couldn't see myself as you guys. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I thought you guys were better than me, like different than me, on an untouchable level than me. So I can't even consider myself your guys' friend, because you know what I'm saying. So it took a long time to absorb that good energy. Yeah. That I think that even more importantly than finding that good positive circle is truly stepping away from the negative one and like cutting that out of your life and not having one foot in one and the other in the other, just because they're related or they're family, or you think you're supposed to keep them as a part of your life. Like I think the most positive thing you can do is cut the negativity out first. And I always wanted to talk to people like you that went farther than me or were better than me, but you're still a human and you're still humble and battled things. So I always wanted to ask someone like you, like, when do you think you found that confidence in yourself that you knew you could at least ride good, or
that's
it was
why
okay
it's so
to
important. Yeah, and I'm glad you touched on that, because that's why it's so important for kids to realize, like we just did a Bible camp, or helped out with a Bible camp in Hillsboro 2 weeks ago, and I always touch on the fact of they don't need to know how to do it. And I mean, they need to know how to do it, but they don't need to know like what we're doing now. They need to know what we did at their stage. Right. Like they need to know how bad I sucked for a few years till I figured it out. And, you know, and how they need to hear that from guys they look up to, you know. I'm going to throw Casey Field under the bus here, and he would love it that I'm doing this. He would laugh about it, and I'm sure he'll see this, but when I first saw him come along, his rookie year, it was night and day from that year to the very next, you know, and I guarantee you he could tell young kids coming up that it was not easy, you know, it was hard. And that's where negativity is. Negativity is a normal thing. You know, without negativity, there wouldn't be positivity. So like, negativity is, I mean, all that does is, that's a motivator, in my opinion. If you feel it, get rid of it and do something different, you know? So if you're negative coming into something and trying to learn it, that's completely normal, like very normal. It's what you do with that takes you to the next level, you know?
Yeah, life's more about how you respond to the things that happen to you than the things that happen to you.
Absolutely.
You know? By the way, thanks for bringing up Bible camp and Christianity, and I'm a Christian. Kyle's kind of had Christian. A really miracle type thing happen in his life. And it's like, this is also something I think we'd all agree. Like, if you're not familiar with God, Jesus, these things, take a look at it, you know. Come talk to any one of us. We'll tell you a little bit about our experience, but it's partly where a lot of my confidence these days come from, because I figured out I'm loved, accepted, worthy, and secure in God. So I don't really need it from Isaac, you know. Yeah, absolutely. And Isaac doesn't need it from me, and Kyle, you know, it's all that things. It kind of feels nice to get it, but it's not needed. Okay, you mentioned Casey Field. I mean, could that dude ride a bareback horse or what? Like, he really figured it out, and he's just dominating everybody. It was just like, bam. I mean, he just was like a machine almost. So strong. Like, I can't even imagine I don't know. Does it take strength to ride a bareback horse? Because I just feel like he's muscling this out so hard. Or is it different?
I think
Kyle could tell you better than I could. I got on 4, and 2 of them ended with me dragging around the arena.
Yeah. So. It's situationally pending. Like, you look at your stereotypical bareback rider, and they probably look a lot stronger than the rest. But when I figured it out and really found out what worked for me, I switched my whole workout program. I only did body weights, and I lost 30 pounds, and I was 145 or 150 pounds when I rode the best and had it figured out. So that wasn't brute physical strength.
Mm-hmm.
And when I really figured it out and it was really fun for me, and obviously there's horses that are going to lead you around the arena.
Oh, yeah.
Even if you know how to ride them. And there's eliminators that are going to hit you in the back of the head, and on and on and on. But for the most part, I went through a stage, and I don't know if this has happened to a lot of rough stock riders or if I'm just weird, but I went through a weird kind of stage in bareback riding where it was so hard for me to figure out for so long that when I figured it out, it felt weird that, like, how easy it felt.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you'd get off after the whistle, and you could remember, like, being able to count the, like, zing, 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 so whack, like, the whole time. Like, it felt slow, and you're just in a recliner, you're just in a chair, and you can, like, look at your tape. You heard what the announcer said. You can see in the stands, and you're like, "This shouldn't feel easy."
And everybody
this has
watching
never
thinks
felt easy.
you're just in a fight.
Like, I'm riding bareback horses. Why is this easy? Like, I should be fighting this motherfucker. This should be way harder than it is. And I started to second guess how easy it felt because I felt like I wasn't trying hard enough or something.
That's exactly why it's taken me so long to quit. It's because it took me 15 years to finally feel that. You know, my motor was running so fast for so long that it'd be a blur when I'd ride. And just in the last 5 years, like, it's weird. I see more clearly now. It doesn't mean that I ride as good as I used to, maybe, but it's almost more enjoyable now because I'm like chill getting on.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
You know, I can think through the whole, feel like I'm just loping a horse half the time, you know, and I don't know, it kind of spurred me on to keep going because, like you're saying, everybody hits a point where it gets more clear, and mine just took a lot longer.
Yeah, or in like NFL football or a high-end anything.
Yeah.
You get to where the game slows down, you know. It's not just this blur, and it's fun to have that experience, you know. Is this true? I've heard this said a lot. Saddle bronc riding is like the hardest to figure out, but once you do, it's like sitting in a rocking chair. Would you agree with that?
For me, it was. Yeah. Mike Fletcher told me one time, he patted me on the back after a hard practice session, and he said, I think we both know that you're not a natural. But he's like, you try hard enough, you're going to figure it out one of these days. He said, I can tell that. So, yeah, I don't know. Everybody says it's, you know, I guess I go off of the guys that did all 3 rough stock events or that did both ends of the arena. And they do say that it's harder to learn. But it definitely is. There's more longevity in it, and it's easier whenever you figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, like I hadn't been on since October. It was about 2.5 months, and I got on one for the kids at the Bible camp a couple weeks ago, and it felt like I had been getting on every day.
Do you work out, or you like staying in shape otherwise? I
don't anymore. I do a few push-ups before I go to bed every night just to make myself not feel old. But I did for years, and there again, this is just adjusting to my own mental incapacities. But I quit working out just because I was getting so burnt out. I hate working out with a passion. I always did, but I would do it because I felt like it made me better.
Yeah.
You know,
it was a piece of that confidence.
It was.
If you worked
absolutely.
out, you knew you were doing what it took to be the best.
Yeah, I felt prepared when I got there, and then it just my whole game kind of changed over the years, and I was dreading working out, and I was dreading going to rodeos, and I wasn't having fun, and so I just completely quit all the stuff that was making me not have fun, and I started turning out all the horses that I wasn't excited to go get on, and I just went to the rodeo because I was excited to get on this certain horse, and I started to feel driven again and like having fun with it again. And so would the working out make my feet faster and make me ride better? Yeah, I'm sure it would.
Yeah.
But with as bad as I hate doing it, I just have decided to put my my time elsewhere.
Yeah, sure.
I think that even goes back to like how I was saying, like to come from desert seclusion to Wickenburg, and I'm so mentally like unused to and annoyed with noise and vehicles and people and dogs and buildings, and these are all just normal things that a few years ago were normal to me too. But to go out to the desert for that long alone, you don't realize how weird that kind of makes you to stuff or unused to things. So then when I was telling you how I just bring my colts out to the desert now and just go ride a little bit and quit training, it's not even helping them as much as it's helping me.
Yeah.
But I feel that's important to help my horses, is to help me, just like working out. If you don't think you need it, you are 1,000,000% correct. But if you're like doubting yourself and have no confidence and you don't know how you're going to do it and you have to try that hard every time you get on one, you could probably add a lot of confidence by working out and adding something that you believe would help you. Like when I traveled with Brett Williams, he's a bareback rider, and he has like a Kelly Timberman neck.
Yeah.
And pecs out of his shirt, and you can tell he has abs, and his biceps are like this. But he lives on pizza and Dr. Pepper and cigarettes and thinks going to the gym is silly. And truly, undeniably in his mind, he absolutely does not need a gym. And without the gym and just smoking cigarettes and thinking he can ride good.
And we watched J.B. Mooney do it and be the winningest bull rider of all time.
Yeah.
You know, because he was confident.
Yep.
You know,
I mean, he'd stand on that basketball, and that solved his confidence equation, you know, whatever thing it was.
And like for me, if I missed a workout, then I was like, well, might as well turn out now.
Yeah, I'm behind.
Yeah.
But because of the confidence I got from it, then working out was a good thing. But I didn't even look as physically shredded as Brett when I worked out twice a day, but I just needed it because I thought it helped me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you got to like really listen to yourself sometimes, and don't be afraid to trust yourself and what you know works for you in anything, because there is no right or wrong. It's truly where you're going to feel the best.
Yeah. You got to go with what makes you confident and what drives you to make you happy and where you feel successful, you know. And
did making the NFR make you happy, or were you just trying to make a living?
No, definitely. I mean, that was my goals when I was a kid, you know.
Gold buckle. So how do you deal with that? Have you won a gold buckle?
No,
I don't
sir.
know.
No.
All right. So how close have you got?
I was 6th one year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing that was always the goal.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So,
yeah.
like, if you're rodeo and you want to make the NFR, you want to win the gold buckle, why do it otherwise?
Yeah. I don't know. I was blessed early on and able to make it quickly when I left Florida, which I don't take for granted, you know. And I don't know, it just worked out really. I drew good and things worked out early on. And then I got, you know, it was harder to make it as the years went on, it seemed. But I had my better years later on. But I don't know, it seemed like nothing mattered but a gold buckle when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And then I had a big turn of events in my life, like probably 7 or 8 years into my rodeo career, and I got in some trouble and with trying to operate a vehicle while being intoxicated, and I won't go into the whole deal, but anyway, I had a major 180 turn, and you know, and you were talking about our faith and our Christianity, and I literally had a 180 turn in my life, and it kind of redirected my focus, and it, you know, winning the gold buckle didn't really matter to me anymore. I wanted it, but I mean it in all honesty that wasn't tops for me anymore. You know, like it being a good example and a good role model to the guys that were rodeoing with me is kind of what became first priority, and kind of letting them see that we don't have to live our lives that way when we're rodeoing just to fit in. You know, you can live for God, or live, you know, be faithful to Him at the same, you know, and be successful in the arena, you know. And so I don't know, that kind of completely changed my want to win a gold buckle. I just kind of got to the point where I was like, if God could use me having a gold buckle on more than he could use me having a high school rodeo buckle on, then he'll allow me to win that. But if he can use me more having a high school rodeo buckle on than a gold buckle, then praise be to him, so roll on.
Did you grow up going to church and that kind of thing?
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir. My family was very, very involved in the church.
Isn't that such a blessing? I mean, it's like, I was that way. Like, I was in church all the time. But I spent years not so close to God,
Oh, yeah.
Probably some of what you're talking about. Which, I mean, I almost feel like I'm not a good host if I don't push you a little bit. But, like, so what about that kind of ugly story do you not want to tell? It's like some of that is interesting to me, too, because, like, it paints the guy I'm talking to now. Was it like a car wreck? Did somebody die? Like, what makes it really hard to talk about?
No, thank God nobody was involved in any of the incidences, but and I'm not ashamed of it. I tell my testimony lots whenever we're doing these camps and stuff, and yet again, bringing kids back to where you started and what to try and veer away from, and I actually had 3 DUIs. 2 of them right here in Stephenville. One of them, the first one, ended with me going through somebody's backyard fence and nearly running into the master bedroom while they were sleeping. And the next one was just a driving down the road, a stop sign deal, and then the third one was in Guyman, Oklahoma, with me and my wife were leaving Bob's Bar up there and got pulled over, and I was looking at 5 years in the state pen.
That'll wake you up.
I was looking down the barrel of a gun, so to speak, and hired the best lawyer in town, and he told me, he said, I don't know what's going to happen here. He was like, you're either going to get, the book thrown at you and you're going to prison, or else they're going to have some leniency on you, and you're going to have about a 30 days in the county jail and 5 years of probation. And praise God, I got the latter of the two. And but that's when things, did a 180 for me, and I'm thankful for that. It caused me going to Canada quite a bit. I turned out of Calgary probably 4 different times because I couldn't get across the border. But I am so thankful that happened, and nobody else being involved, obviously.
Yeah.
But
I mean, because a lot of us, and I'm going to say me, I've been to jail. So, like, a lot of us are lucky in the same way. And a lot of us are not as lucky, Mm-hmm. I mean, it turns into a really much sadder, more sad thing. Anyways, thanks for sharing that. I appreciate it. It's like, everybody has chinks in their armor, whether you want, we all kind of want to pretend like we don't, but we do. And so I appreciate you saying that. To me, it adds a lot of validity to your perspective and being able to speak from hey man, I've been in a pretty low spot,
Yeah.
And you can come back from that and God can help you. Yeah.
No, God's used that. It's opened a lot of conversations with guys through that. And so I share it anytime I get prompt to do so. It's not something I'm proud of, but it's something I'll let him use. Yeah. Curious.
So did you have traveling partners? So talk a little bit about those guys.
So I went with Stephen Dent for the first couple years that I rodeoed rookie year, and then me and him both made it together to the finals the year after. He rode barebacks and saddle broncs, and he made it in the bareback riding, and he was awesome to go with. He's still one of my best friends, but I started traveling with Taos Muncie right after that because we could get more guys in a rig. It was a lot cheaper with 4 guys to go down the road. These are the days when you had to make the finals in order to pay the bills, and so I started going with Taos, Cody Tayton, and Travis Sheets back then. And, or no, I'm sorry. Taos, Cody Tatum, and Mike Uthier was the crew. And we had a lot of fun together. That was a rowdy bunch.
Uthier, he roped, he did kind of, didn't he win the Linderman a few times?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, several times.
He's a hand.
Yeah, he made the finals, I think, 4 times in the Bronc riding. And, yeah, he's a rowdy guy, but they all were.
I kind of had, I think rodeoing with Taos made me feel like you're from New Mexico.
A lot of people.
Yeah. You know,
yeah. Because I was just flying, I was just going around rodeoing. I didn't have nothing to my name other than what was in my pocket, you know, and so I would go stay with Taos and his family over there lots. And I got lost in them Cedar Hills. I don't know how many times trying to gather cattle with them guys. They still pick on me about that, but yeah, that was a good crew. Those guys are all still some of my best friends. And that kind of, the third guy in that group kind of switched around a lot, or the fourth guy, I should say. Travis Sheets went with us. Tyrell Larson went with us for a long time. Zeke Thurston started with us for about 3 years, his first 3 years. And then I started rodeoing with Brody Kress and Shorty Garrett like in 2018. They were right here, or Brody was right here, and it was just easier. And Brody motivated me. That's whenever the workout stuff really started, was during those years, and he really motivated me to better myself in that way. And Shorty was going. Shorty, we all three jumped in together, and then now it's just been me and Shorty for the last few years, and Brady Hill. It's a good group. Them guys are both from South Dakota, and I go to North Dakota in the summer, so it works out pretty good.
I was just going to say, like, this question is for both of you, because it doesn't have to be about rodeo or money or anything, but I know I struggle with it a lot, and it's been hard for me every time it's happened to me, so I'm always curious to see if anyone else struggles with this, as far as, like, your life may be improving drastically, or the results are improving drastically on paper, but you're so not used to them that it's actually scarier. Like, I was so used to being broke that it was never scary to have $10 in my pocket, but when you come into really fast money that was bigger than you could have comprehended, it, like, terrifies me now, because I don't know what to do with it, and what if I piss it all away, and I don't know where to put any of it. Or like rodeoing, like, if no one knew you and you were an underdog, you have nothing to lose. And then when you did good, it was like, heck yeah, but you start to do good all the time, so then you feel like people expect you to, and now you can't mess up, and you're not even used to all this stuff, so you get more pressure. Like, I know it sounds crazy to say, but like, or even like going from having to battle the winter in Nevada to enjoying the winter in Wickenburg, and all these people and all these nice things, and 8 miles from town, and on paper they're like, dang, that's awesome.
A way better
like,
deal.
You must love your life now, and winter must be great now, and everything is going so good for you, and I'm so happy for you. And in my head, I'm like, are you sure? Because a lot of this stuff really annoys me and kind of freaks me out. And I felt pretty comfy there out in the middle of nowhere in Nevada. So all these improvements just kind of scare me, because I'm not used to them, and I struggle with them really bad. But I understand how crazy that is to say, so I was just wondering if that's relatable to anybody.
I think for me, you always got to go back. You know, I think success always takes people in a direction that is so far from what got them the success to begin with. You always got to take yourself back and stay grounded. You know, for me, you know, 95% of mornings I start my day off in the Word. You know, I got to stay grounded in what God's got for me today, you know, because try to devote my life to Him, and it keeps, every day I got to do it, because one day I forget, and I'll act a lot like I don't read the Word at all that day, you know. And so, I don't know, it keeps me grounded, and it keeps my focus on trying to be more like Him, because that's what got me to the place I'm at now anyway, was if he didn't want me to have it, it wouldn't happen to begin with. And just for me personally, that's how I'd like to stay grounded. And whenever things are kind of taking off and going in a good way or in a bad way, you gotta go back and say, okay, I'm gonna get in the Word and get some get some structure here and get some guidance. He's the ultimate counselor, but we don't really need opinions of anybody else if we have his. So.
Yeah, and that could probably be the answer to my next question too, really, and help me in this sense of this next concept too, of just even I never really expected all the guilt that might come from succeeding. So when I kind of was just looked at myself as just a cowboy, and I just have this stuff and I just do this, that was comfortable for me to say, and it didn't bother me that if anyone wanted to look down on that, because that's who I was and what I was proud of. But you start getting really excited about these lessons I'm taking in Spanish dressage, or get really excited about going to Spain to continue to down this avenue, or I get really excited about the horses we're getting in the barn, or getting to talk to you, or him inviting me to be here. All of these things that to me are very big, very awesome things. They don't mean anything, but they're cool or exciting or successful things, and they excite me. But it to talk about them exciting me or to tell someone else about it, it almost just feels like I'm you shouldn't be excited for yourself. You're just bragging now. You're used to just being down here. Maybe just go stay down there and be quiet. It starts to feel guilty or arrogant that you're succeeding, and that's a very ironic thing to say.
I'm trying to put what you're saying into how I can relate, and I guess the best way I could relate to that would be winning somewhere when I knew I didn't deserve it, getting loaded, making a terrible ride, and then somehow you're 88 points, and you got to walk back through the guys that you just beat and know that they should have beat you, and a lot of times that guilt, I get guilt from that if that happens.
Yeah.
And but then same deal, God says He'll supply all your needs according to His riches and glory if you keep Him first. And so it's one of them things you just, if it's success that you don't feel like you deserve, you take it and use it. If I get a platform that day that I didn't deserve, I'm going to speak about Him. If I didn't deserve to be getting interviewed by Amy, or Katie at the Cowboy Channel or whatever, then okay, Lord, well, if this is, you wanted me to be in front of this microphone, I'm going to give it to you because I do not deserve to be here. So
yeah, that's a good.
I think as long as you take it all,
continually paying forward.
Yeah, you got to use it.
That's incredibly relatable to what I was saying, because I didn't mention that point when I was trying to explain what I was getting at, but that even happened to me, not every time, and quite often when you win, you're just really excited, or when you do good, you're really excited. But there was this one time at the High River Rough Stock Challenge in Canada, not High River,
Lethbridge.
And it wasn't Lethbridge, it was... There's no way I should forget this because it says it right on the only saddle I've ever won.
Oh.
But it's a rough stock challenge up there.
Yeah.
And there's a long round and a short round, and the short round is just the top two, and you get to pick what you get on. But, you definitely can win your event, but to win the rough stock saddle, you have to be high point on two throughout the three events. So every year it goes to a bull rider. If a bull rider stays on two, he's going to kind of outscore the Broncs, usually at this rodeo. And on the way up there, the stock contractor, Drew, calls me and says, hey, you were supposed to get on a colt, and it's really not that fair, and I don't know how it even got put in the draw, so I'm going to leave him on the trailer, cripple him. What would you like to get on for the ride? And I was like, what? You can't do that. And he's like, well, we're doing it, so what would you like to get on? And I was like, China Fire, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
So we get there, and I spurred him. And Tyson Tui was beating me by a point in the bull riding based on the all-around of the saddle deal. But, like, I was winning the bareback riding, and I picked Skyfall in the saddle bronc riding and really spurred the shit out of him. And Tyson rode his bull, and I beat him outright. So, like, really earned that saddle, and it was a huge deal to me. But, like, my traveling partner and best friend just heard that I cheated on speakerphone. All my friends behind the deal know that I shouldn't have been that many on Skyfall. Like, is he ranked? Sure. Is he eliminator? Sure. Did I spur him? Sure. But did they load me by 10 points? 100% they did. And I felt so guilty and sick to my stomach that I just went back behind the chutes and puked, and I was shaking, and I didn't even want to go get my saddle.
Yeah.
And that saddle still sits in Brett's house, actually. I wouldn't even bring it with me. It sits on display next to his at his house in Canada.
Yeah.
And I just felt sick. Like, that should be the most exciting point to my whole career, and I just felt really guilty, and I just never knew if anyone else ever felt that way before.
We could pull on this string for days because it's. Have you ever heard that analogy of the floods coming and the guy's on top of the house and he's like praying, God, please save me. And next thing the little John boat comes by and says, hey, it looks like the water's rising. Jump in. And the guy's like, no, God's going to save me. Don't. It's all good. God's going to save me. You know, the story goes on. Next thing you know, it's some other option of getting off the house and out of the flood, and finally it's a helicopter dropping. No, God's gonna save me, and then he dies, and he's, you know, going into heaven, and like, God, why didn't you save me? And God's like, what do you mean? I tried to save you 3 or 4 times, and you just wouldn't take it. So it's like sometimes in life, those were just opportunities to me. Like the stock contractor had this opinion about it. The judges judged you in this way. So it was God's way, in my opinion, of trying to reward you. But, you know, instead you took it a different way. So I don't know. That's my 2 cents on it. It parallels that idea in my head.
I think everybody's been part of a situation similar to that, you know, and especially at a young age. I mean, anybody's gonna fall under pressure when you're like, you want to win first, or do you want to probably not win a check at all? You know, so that, you know, everybody's gonna be faced with a decision to make like that, no matter what you're doing for a living, and all a guy can do is, you know, learn from it, I think, and next time the opportunity arises, we'd be like, well, you tell you what, you pick me one.
Yeah.
And then no matter what happens, whether you win or lose, you know, guy's going to be able to look at that saddle and not feel any guilt.
Yeah.
You know, because I guarantee you we've all got trophies that in our trophy rooms that have had some sort of dishonesty.
Finger on the scale.
Yeah,
you know?
so,
it's just a little finger on the scale, that's all.
Yeah, I've got buckles that I look at and I'm like, I should not have won that. You know, so-and-so should have won it. That's no different. You know,
Yeah, okay.
Somehow I got favor that day that, you know.
To me, a judged event leans itself to that, you know, so often. It's like, how can any judge be totally fair and impartial? I don't think it's possible. They either like that horse for some reason, or they like that rider for just some minuscule amount, and they just, you know, Jim Sharp's a pretty good example, or just stories I've heard about his career. It was like he rode bulls so good, it looked like it was too easy. So early in his career, he didn't score, you know, very good. Mm-hmm. And then later in his career, after he had accomplished a lot, he might not ride as good, but he was still getting scored really good. So it's like, that's just the nature of this. That's the nature of the game.
Yeah. Yeah. People, I don't know. judges get picked on. Just.
Have you ever judged?
I have, like at a very low level.
Yeah.
You know, and I judged I remember I judged at a little jackpot in River Ranch, Florida, down North Okeechobee, and none of the bull riders stayed on but one, and it was still hard because it was nerve-wracking, you know. It was like, I was just like, whew. Nobody else stayed on, you know, but
you could score 50 and win.
Yeah, and that was in high school, and I mean, we're 20-something years later, and I guarantee you my nerves would still be the same today. And yeah, they get picked on. It's so bad, and you know, and I don't know. So many guys leave rodeo just bitter towards a lot of different things, and like that's my goal when I'm done. Is I'm going to be thankful for every minute I got to spend at a pro rodeo, because there's no better way to make a living than around that circle of people and in the rodeo industry. And honestly, them guys that are out there in stripes, like there is a very small margin of them that is not trying to do their very best.
What do you think about Stetson's missed mark out this year? Like that, I don't know all about it, but I feel like there was replay involved. And do you know much about it? Have you paid attention?
Like, so I saw it, obviously, and I've heard a lot of different things about it. And I think no matter what I say, somebody's probably going to have something that they disagree with. But to me, so I do know that there's other camera views, I guess, and they were saying that his spur wasn't in contact with the animal. From what they showed all of us, there's no way I'd have thrown the flag.
Yeah.
You know, from what all of us got to see on TV, he spurred him out all day long. Yeah. There was several other spur outs throughout the week that were not near that good that I would have thrown the flag on from different guys that they got by with, you know. And that's just, you know, I'm so thankful that there is a replay now there, that they're doing it. I just think it's going to take some perfecting. They need to be able to really show the angles that they're seeing to the general public, and it's gonna do nothing but create more views, because it's just like all professional sports, you know, NFL, the NBA, whatever it is. When I'm not even an avid football watcher, but whenever I do, I like watching a game every once in a while, you know, over Thanksgiving or something, and whenever there's this play being reviewed, I mean, I'm looking, you know, because it educates the people watching, and you want to see it's drama, you know, you want to see what's going on, and so I think they just need to perfect it in that way where people can see every angle, so that they're not just getting terrible reviews from it. You know, from what we saw, yes, it cost Stetson a world title, and I definitely would not have thrown a flag on the guy. But
you think Stetson's worried about it?
I think he was at the time. Yeah. I know Stetson, and he's very competitive. It was what makes him great. You know?
That's right. I mean, can you be that good without being competitive? I mean, I bet you're competitive, like
for sure,
checkers or whatever it is. You just want to win.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not gonna. That guy has a complete passion for the game, regardless. But he is obviously very competitive, and emotions were high that night. And yeah, of course he was upset. But is he not happy for his brother? No way. You know, we're a month after, and I'm sure he's probably like, you know what, that's all right. You know, cool. My brother won it. I'll win another one. Yeah. So,
dude, what about that Wright family though? I mean, what makes them that way? Like, just all of them.
It's the water.
Is it? I
mean, I don't know.
You better move to wherever they're at. Get some of that water.
It must have been old Bill Wright. I don't know. It come from somewhere down the line. Yeah.
There's a mindset that got started that just believed we're the best, and everybody just kind of picked that up and said, you know why we're the best? Because we do the work. We get on the horses. We work out. We keep our mindset good.
Yeah.
I don't know that. I'm just speculating.
Oh, I think you're right. Yeah.
It's cool to see. I like seeing it. It was like, man, that's a cool family. That's a dominant family.
Yeah, it's great for rodeo, man, to have that. You know, to me, that'd be a lot of pressure.
Right.
You know, that's what I admire most about those kids is that's a lot of pressure to follow in your brother's footsteps, your dad and your uncle's footsteps, you know, to be expected.
They not
to
once
win.
got to step under the light as an underdog, really.
No.
I mean, kind of, but like they were very expected to perform from day one in high school and have for a long, consistent point in time. And that's a lot harder than most people give credit to, because on paper it should look like it'd be easier. And I think it would be 10 times harder in a sense.
Absolutely, it'd be harder. Yeah. I mean, you have the ability and are, you know, people already leaning towards expecting you to win, which plays in your favor in a judged event, but they haven't, you know, I've seen flags thrown on them guys just as much as anybody.
Right.
You know, and like I said, I mean, we're in a judged event, you know, it's a human nature. Like when it doesn't matter how good them guys have been riding. When they go to ride, I'm going to lean in and watch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the judges are
if you hear
same
Wright
way.
in the saddle bronc riding, you're looking.
You're going to watch. Yeah. You know, and so I don't know. It's just that's always going to be a part of our event is that it's judged. There's no way to change that. But I think it's better now, personally, than it has been in a long time, because it's getting better and better, and I'm probably going to get tongue lashed for this, but in my opinion, as somebody that's been doing it for 20 years, and I have not made the finals in the last 5 years, so it's not like I'm coming off of a pedestal saying the judging's good. You know, I'm looking at it as a whole. Like, there is flaws in it, but there's always going to be flaws in it. But the judges are they're being held more accountable now for their mistakes or their good calls, because it's all over everywhere. Everybody sees it. You don't think things could have been swept under the rug 30 years ago?
Right. Yeah.
You know, a lot of cheating going on, and nobody ever knows about it.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think people need to consider that now when they get mad at the judging program and stuff. I mean,
it's the first time it's all been that closely
it is out
displayed.
in everybody's eyes.
It's no different than Vietnam was not the first war ever, but that was the first one that they publicly displayed to America, and now it's like the worst one ever. And I wasn't around in that time, so I'm kind of talking out my ass, but it's a common topic. And
it's an example of a similar thing. You bet.
Mm-hmm.
Where just the visibility of it. I mean, I can't really imagine being my kids. Like, you're talking about the Wrights. They never got a chance to be the underdog. Like, just the second they started, they're expected. My kids never got the chance to live without the internet,
right?
You know, or without cell phones. They don't. I had that chance, and I have a perspective thanks to that, which they don't and won't. So it's always everybody sees everything I do. Not really, but it feels like that.
Yeah.
And like, even on the judging thing, like, sometimes there's bad calls, sometimes there's favors made, but to pretend like that, some of that isn't just human nature, I think would be lying, because even talking about our horses, so this isn't even judging a show or anyone else's horses, this is just what I have in my barn now. Like, if any of the other horses do bad, it's like, okay, and you work with it. And if they do good, you're like kind of happy and you work with it. But then when Rocket Queen comes out, and whether I'm riding her or Morgan's riding her, like, regardless of what she does, you always think it was just a little better. Because we like her more, she's prettier, she tries harder, she's more naturally gifted, she's more athletic, we've got her the farthest along, she's done the most things. Is she better than the rest of them? Yeah, to a degree. But because of that, do we favor her in everything she does? 1,000,000% we do. And it's just human nature.
Yeah. People are entitled to their own opinion. You know, I personally like a guy in the bronc riding to reach up there and have toes not down, but be out and a little bit pushing on their stirrup, because I know where their shank is at. It's buried in that horse's neck. Some guys like their toes tipped back and out, and I'm talking judges or people watching.
Yeah.
You know, some guys like that more, the toes up and out, but unless they got a 2-inch long spur on their, you know, shank on their spur's not touching the animal, you know, and so people have different opinions, you know, and from the side, maybe that looks better, but just having experience in the event, I know that horse ain't getting much iron, you know, and so everybody's entitled to their own opinion, and I would judge a guy like that differently than some.
We were talking about heroes. We've said heroes. Do you have any, like, when you were riding or when you were coming up, did you look up to any rodeo athletes or even non-rodeo athletes?
I always, Billy Etbauer was kind of, you know.
Dude, was he not crazy?
He was the man, yeah. And actually, it makes you feel old. At the Bible camp a couple weeks ago, there was a young kid who's been on maybe 5 horses, didn't come from a rodeo family, and I elaborated on something about Billy Etbauer, and he goes, "Who?" And I was like, you know, the Etbauers? No, who's that? And I said, only like he's one of the best of all time, you know. Yeah. And he had no idea what I was talking about, and I was like, look them up, you know.
The Etbauers were kind of the original Wrights, you know. They were all good.
Yeah. Yeah, he was my favorite.
He was hard not to love just because he was kind of really meek, kind of, I don't know, that might be an unfair descriptor, but he was just unassuming, you know. Like he could be in here right now and it would just be like you'd have no clue what he's accomplished.
Yeah, growing up, like say, he was my favorite, and but then I went to a couple of their schools. And so then I would see him at the rodeos when I got started, you know. He'd kind of make, you know, he knew me at that point because I went to his schools and stuff, and so he'd kind of make sure everything, kind of take me under his wing a little bit at the rodeos. And I remember he poked me in the chest at Pendleton one time because it was the first year that I was making the NFR, and I used to jump off all the time like all young guys do, and for some reason I jump off out in the middle of the grass. And thankfully, I didn't hurt myself or anything, but I landed kind of going backwards. You know, I landed beside the horse, headed that direction, and I just kind of hit the ground on my feet and landed on my butt. And he caught me in the strip and shoot and was poking me in the chest, and he said, "You knock that off." He said, "That's going to cost you more than you realize one day." And anything he said, I listened to him, and so I quit jumping off. But the more I got to know that guy, the more he became my hero, you know, because to me, like, people come and go. Like, the people win buckles, they come and go. But the guys that treat people like he treats people, like that's, people remember that, you know, and that's the same thing like we were talking about with Casey. And I feel so privileged to have rode through people like that's whole career alongside him, because was he a beast? Yeah, absolutely. But that guy treated people the same no matter where he went. He always treated people the same and with respect, and didn't. The worst thing to me, and I really have a hard time having any respect for, is people that are good and that treat people like they're good, you know. And I just, humility goes a long ways with me. You know, I have a lot of respect for people that no matter how good they are, they're going to treat people the same. And
what's your take on Rocker?
Rocker's a good kid.
Yeah, I know him pretty well.
You know.
I knew him, like, so I would help tie Murray Brand, so Sid would come around. Rocker, I've been around Rocker when he was, like, riding wakeboards and not even thinking about bareback riding. I always thought he was a good kid. Like, does he wear his hair differently? Does he act cocky and these kind of things? Yeah, I think so. But he was always working hard. Like, he was trying hard. He was never disrespectful. He was just flashy, maybe. Anyways.
Yeah.
I'll cut you off.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. When he first come around, you know, I'm really old school with a lot of things, you know, and I always have been. And so, you know, like he wouldn't be like kind of in my circle of close friends, you know what I'm saying? But just because it's just a lot different than I roll, and I, for, you know, that's no way to be in my opinion for myself. But when he first come around, I was kind of like, oh boy, you know, like like you said, is he cocky? Yes, of course he's cocky. Does he know he's good? Yes, he knows he's good. And so I kind of am turned off to that right away whenever I see people like that, like I said. But the more I got to be around that kid a little bit, the more I would talk to him at the rodeos and stuff. Like there's a good guy there. He really is. And I think that Rocker would, if somebody was in need that he passed by, he would do anything in the world to help him, you know. And that's really the only way I can elaborate on that. Is, does he like attention? He dang right he does. But you know what? There's a good heart in there, you know. I truly believe that.
That's a great, I think, cowboy perspective thing. Like almost like Dave put a yeehaw in there. I mean, it's like, yes, like take a little time to get to know somebody. Just because you're turned off first time, maybe that doesn't mean it's political, and every other thing in the country feels like we see a thing and we judge it immediately. That's not for me, and you're done.
Yeah.
Well, there'd be a lot of probably good that you miss out on because you're choosing so quickly to make your stance.
Yeah, I'm so guilty when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah.
I've been guilty of judging a book by its cover and just kind of not making statements about it, but I just kind of go the other direction. Right. God's been convicting me a lot of that lately as I get older. Like, hey, get back over there. Yeah, you know, talk to that guy. You know, see what they're about, because different things drive people to be different things. You know, and it doesn't change who they are. You know, you got to get to know them a little bit before you can have a real opinion on them.
Right, and like on the Rocker point too. And like how you were saying that you appreciated Billy at Bauer, them guys being and who you wanted to be. That happened to me in ways too of like, I can remember when I first started amateur rodeoing, like some of the like you'd call hometown hero type amateur rodeo people that I'm sure are in Florida and Missouri and California and all over the world. I'm sure this happens to some degree. But those people really weren't at the top of anything other than their comfort bubble. And then they were also belittling or browbeating people. Like, they didn't treat me very good. They didn't treat newcomers very good. And then they really, really don't treat you good when you start beating them.
Oh, yeah.
And then you start going to pro rodeos and you're like, dang, Tim O'Connell's really nice to me. Why? He doesn't even know me and I suck. He's the world champion. Why is he nice to me? But then and then Tanner Oz is nice to you. The Brewer brothers are incredible to you. You go down to Tarleton and all these big name, such as yourself, guys are really nice and supportive to you. And you're like, okay, number one, like no matter how far I get in this is what I want to be like and how I want to treat people. Like this is never going to have anything to do with the level I get to from now till the end. I want to make people feel about themselves the way these idols of mine are making me feel. And at least on the Rocker point, like, sure, he's cocky and flashy and could turn a lot of old school cowboy mentality people away, because he did with me in the beginning. Like, I didn't feel the need to go out of my way to tell him that.
Yeah.
But I just kind of ignored him, like, whatever. And most of my negative opinions were to the hype and fan base around him, not him directly. And I just kind of ignored it. But then you look deeper and deeper into it, and he definitely backs up everything he says in all of his confidence, as much as he can anyway. He backs it up anyway. And he doesn't seem to ever... He doesn't do it in a way to bring anyone else down. Like a lot of people that want to look at themselves highly can only do that by tearing everyone else down. Rocker just truly believes he's above. He feels no reason to tear anyone down, and that's something I respect. Yeah.
Well, majority of those people, in my opinion, they're insecure themselves, you know.
Right.
So they'll bring people down around them. That's one thing about that boy. He is not insecure for that.
Right.
I don't think.
Right.
You know, he's very, very confident in who he is.
Well, you know, I mean, to me, the whole Steiner family is a great case study. I like looking at them as man, look at just what they do, how they do it, how they think about it. It's like you can pick the Wright family to look at Bauer family. There's people, like, I don't want to be the Steiners, but I like a lot of their mindset about stuff.
For sure.
It's like, man,
Yeah.
they don't doubt that they can do it. Like, whatever it is. Like, Sid wants to be a world champion steer wrestler, so he just goes until he is, then he quits. You know, it's like, man, that's pretty cool.
It is neat. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, like, I talk about this concept a lot, and then I talk about all the applications of the concept to be able to see what I mean on different levels or from different angles, like being able to stare through all the BS and read between those lines to see the good in everything. I think there's always, if everything is made up of 100%, 90% of it is going to be real cloudy bullshit that you have to stare through to see the 10% of good of, like, say, barrel racing. That's got a ton of cliche, stereotypical, maybe true to a degree, stereotypes of what their horses are like, how they do their horses, on and on and on. There's bad stereotypes. But if you can look through all of that and just see the good in it, there's a tremendous, tremendous, tremendous amount of horsemanship and talent to make good barrel horses and do it correctly and be successful. Or Rocker, like, to see the good that you've seen in him, you had to get yourself to look through a lot of muddled, cloudy stuff that you didn't think you liked to be able to see that good in it. And then the reason I say a different amount of examples is, like, when I talk about this concept from this angle, it's cool to me too, so I always have to say a couple of different angles of this concept of, like, when you're getting, like, criticism, say, like, I've gotten help, I've gotten yelled at, I've gotten whatever from different bosses in horsemanship and cowboying, and you're obviously going to get help along the way. You're going to get criticism along the way. You're going to get ass treats along the way. Like, I've definitely had a lot of that. But last winter, I went and rode with a reined cow horse guy for 3 months of, like, just 3 months, 7 days a week, 8 to 10 hours a day of nothing but being told how much you do wrong.
Oh, yeah.
And just browbeating after browbeating after browbeating after criticism after... And it was starting to fry me for a second. Like, like I could just hit this guy maybe and see if he can criticize me then. Or, like, maybe I should just go run into his horse and...
It probably got you quite a few views.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I need to bring this guy to my level and, like, level the playing field so he's not so chirping at me all the time. And, like, maybe I should, like, spook his horse or, like, do something in my comfort zone to get him out of his comfort zone or whatever. And then I started realizing, like, okay, but you're going to avoid all the good that you're getting from this if you stay fixated on all this stuff you think is bad. So, like, maybe he comes across as arrogant or something. Maybe it's coming across as he's browbeating you. Maybe it's coming across as hard to take or hard to hear, or maybe a lot of things. Maybe he can't cowboy like you can. Who cares? You didn't come here to learn to cowboy. Like, this is training horses now. Like, maybe you can ride a bucking horse better than him, but he never got on one, so what difference would that make? Like, this is in his world now. You came to his world to learn from him. If you can't take all this stuff and stare through it to all the good you're getting, you're going to miss it all. And I had to, like, start craving it. Like, instead of figuring out how I could avoid it, or, like, how could I just subtly enough cheat with these horses that I can get him to be perfect and I'm not going to get yelled at, but he's not going to tell how much I'm holding on to him and helping him. Like, I started doing that kind of stuff to avoid all the bad things to happen so that he couldn't tell me what I was doing wrong, kind of thing, so much. And I realized how the good I was avoiding with that, so I started to train myself and tell myself, like, crave that. Like, he yells at you, crave it.
Constructive
he
criticism.
Tells you to do it again, hope that he tells you to do it 10 more times. and maybe this is a normal thing. Maybe this should be an obvious thing, and it's silly that I even struggled with it or had to have this epiphical moment. But for me, it was incredibly beneficial to realize, like, okay, no matter what you want to look at, I'm sure there is negatives that you can see on the surface. But if you look through them all, there's that 10% of good is what makes everything great in of itself. So just ignore all the clouds, stare through all the BS, and see that good that you're going to get from this. And that 3 months took me farther with my horses than the 10 years prior leading up to that.
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah. It's hard to find the good in every situation. There's some challenging ones, but it seems like the harder it is, the more rewarding it is in the end.
Yeah. Mom or dad would say something like, if you'll try, you can find good in everything. But you're going to have to try sometimes pretty hard. It's like being grateful for the tough stuff you go through. Like, that's a Christian principle I find myself working on a lot. It's like, this is not fun. This is not easy. Thank you, God.
Yeah.
That's a hard one.
That's a hard one. Yeah.
Because you mostly just want to say, God, help me, make it easy for me. I want to have everything I ever wanted. And he's just laughing, you know. I picture him laughing like, you don't even know what you want, you know. You have no clue what it's all really about.
Yeah. Same way we do with our kids.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yep.
One day I was in the round pen, and this new concept that has really helped my program and took my program a long ways is like in the round pen, like when you're moving their feet, instead of drawing to get them to come to you, you like put the pressure on harder, but in a very specific point to get them to come through you with pressure, like come into that, which I know is ironic without being able to show every component of this aspect. But one day I was working with a horse that just did not want to get it. And I just started being kind of vocal of like, how hard do you want to make this? Like, you ignorant little bastard, like just give in. Like, how hard do you want me to get for you to just come into this pressure a little bit? Because it's all going to go away if you just looked at me. And it just hit me, like I almost went to my knees of like, oh, how many times have you been saying that to me, God?
Yeah.
Of like, if you would just look to me when this pressure comes up, it will all melt. But if you want to stay on the fence and act like you're going to take this all on your own, it's just going to get harder and harder and harder and harder and harder. And all you had to do is look to him.
Yeah.
And it all goes away.
Yeah. Amen.
Yeah, that's
a sermon.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, what's the guy's name? Are either of y'all familiar with Todd Pierce?
I should know who that
I think
is.
so. He's like a political speaker kind of.
No, I may be getting his name
different.
wrong.
That's a different Pierce.
He breaks horses, and he kind of preaches while he's doing it. And maybe it's not Todd.
No,
I truly don't think I know.
I've heard that name before. I know. I feel like I've seen it.
His content's really cool because he's doing what you just did, like with an audience, and saying, see how this horse is just running. That's like we do. We just run from God all the time. And all God wants us to do is turn and look at him. And then the horse would turn and look at him, and he would just say, see, now his life is so much easier, you know. It's a really good analogy for a guy like me who loves horses, loves working with horses. It put it in a really good, order.
Yeah.
In my mind. Like, oh, well, that's not that hard.
Yeah.
Why do I make it so hard?
Yeah.
And like, what started as a joke, and I never did make the TikTok video, but I had an idea for a joke to make on TikTok of like, I was going to be sitting on my horse and have a mirror in my pocket, like a makeup mirror, and act as though I was about to give this huge piece of advice, but it was going to just be a punchline. And I was just going to simply say, like, all you people struggling with your horses that want to ask your horse, like, why won't you do this? Or would you just calm down? Or can you just stop? Or what's your problem? Or what's, like, anything you want to say to your horse, just pull this mirror out and look at it and say those exact words, and then put the mirror back. That started as a joke, and I never made the video or got around to making the joke, but I never quit thinking about that again. So much so that I have to admit I do that now every day with my horses. and it's helped me tremendously. And I don't have a mirror and look at it, but like I catch myself and remind myself and get stronger and stronger and stricter with it every day. Of like, anything you think you want to think or say about this horse, say to yourself first and ask yourself how it feels and how true it is, and then roll on. And you quit saying stuff about him really fast.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I could see that totally. A horse will, if there's I could be having the best day and start my day completely, in order and positive, and a colt could bring the worst out of me. and I think that God uses them, like in my life, He uses horses to help me, find the flaws in myself. Like, all right, how quickly is anger coming out in you, or how quickly are you going to react in a negative way? And okay, well then obviously that's an area you need to fix, and it's daily. Like, them horses work on me. Oh boy, like every day.
Yeah.
Every day. And
I get scared to even go out there sometimes because I know, like, the standard's going to be high for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially when I'm trying to
yeah.
get my girls involved in it. Like, I'm just trying to teach them simple stuff, like to move the horse off and to get in front of his shoulder to try to turn him, stuff that I'm not even really good at, but I'm trying to teach them. Then I'm getting frustrated with the horse. Now they're seeing me being frustrated with the horse. Now I'm teaching them how to be, like, oh my gosh, this has gone. I'm scared to go over there.
Yeah.
And it's crazy for me too, like how much I'll avoid or procrastinate my horses, or I'll wait for people to not be around to take certain horses out. Or I'll go to the patch so no one can see what's about to happen. But it's never bad. It's just that I think it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
But it's so crazy to me because, like, when I was rodeoing and that was my focus, then all the cowboy things were just like a given. Like, you're just a cowboy and this is what you do. You don't have to be good at it. We're all good at it. But rodeoing was my focus, so I never really got in my way or insecure with the cowboy or the horse stuff, because I just felt like I was really solid with the way I started colts and I could ride a horse and do my job. So what improvement was there to be needed, really? Not that I was the best, but I didn't need to get better. And then when I started like cowboying full time, like, you're trying to rope more efficiently and you're trying to work the alley better and you're trying to please your boss and you're trying to ride your circles accordingly and you're trying to get around the right number of cattle and you're thinking about all these jobs and important things that you're trying to do better, that is very easy for me to forget a lot of things about the horse. Like, not forget in an ignorant standpoint, but ignore. Like, if you don't want to be good today, like, that's fine. We still got 20 miles of trotting for you to figure out your bullshit. I'm not going to stop and fix it now. And I could ignore a lot of these negative things that weren't that big a deal. And it helped me get along with my horses a lot better because I could just not pick on them all the time. Like, even if you want to be a bucker, you're not going to buck me off. And if you do, you won't do it again kind of mentality. So my only focus was like my task at hand and my job. Anything my horse did in the way of that, I could just laugh off or giggle off or whatever, and I just handle it, and I go about my day, and then the next day maybe, or the next week, because you don't really ride everything every day out there. They're just kind of in your string in a weekly rotation. Like, they'll get better on their own time, and if they don't, they're probably an ignorant desert horse, and that's what makes us cowboys anyways, to use these things. So I don't care if you have all these problems. Like, the fact that I can do my job on this bucking bastard makes me feel successful anyway. Yeah. Go ahead and be bad. But now that it feels like my whole life depends on all these horses being perfect, I can't let go of anything. So, like, they have to be perfect, and I expect them to be perfect, and I want them to be perfect. And if anything goes bad, everyone in this facility is going to know I don't know what I'm doing now, and now I'm not a horse trainer, and then pretty soon I could just quit all this stuff because all this stuff will be exposed. So now I don't even want to go out and do it. And it's like, holy shit, when did that happen? Yeah. Like, you've done this your entire life, but now that the spotlight's on it, you're terrified. That's crazy.
But how much does that play into what we were talking about earlier about showing guys just starting out what you were to begin with and how to get to the point where you are, you know. And we train horses at home too, you know, and we're just as guilty as anybody of, if we're going to post something for sale or what have you, or send something to a client, you sit there and, you know, we're going to start over and film again, you know. No, shoot, that didn't go. So pause it. Let's start over. You know? So we're all guilty of doing that, you know, and there ain't, I don't know that there's a horse person that I know out there that doesn't do that. But we're doing the same thing we were talking about before. How many more people would love to see you struggle with one?
Yeah.
And see how you work through it, you know, and seriously hit a wall and be like, okay, I got to pull out all the tricks here in order to make this horse work. And that's what people want to see, because they can relate to that.
Yeah.
You know, just like, why do we use our testimonies in church? Because people can relate to your failures. You know,
you want people to understand you're just like them.
Yes, absolutely.
They're just like you.
And being able to relate on those things that you're unsure of is such a positive thing, especially for young people starting on something, or if you're older but starting something new, like a new realty venture even. But like, I know for me, I used to struggle with wondering if something was wrong with me that I felt these feelings. Like a lot of people would say, well, I don't ride bucking horses because I'm scared. Okay. Mm-hmm. Or like, I don't rodeo because I didn't have this or that or whatever. Okay. Or like, you know, I used to want to do public speaking, but every time I'd do it, I'd get kind of nervous. So I just decided never to publicly speak again. So then when you're trying to rodeo or have this page, like success page, or cowboy or anything you're trying to do, like sometimes I would think like, gosh, when I won that saddle and felt guilty, does this mean like I'm not a winner? Like, am I not competitive? Is rodeo not for me? Or like, if I've ever felt fear, I'd think like, gosh, am I a bitch to feel this? Like, am I alone to feel this? Should I just quit because I feel this? Does anyone else feel this? Yeah. But then you get to talking to people,
Everybody,
and it's like you're going to feel all those negative things. And it's totally, totally normal. It's just how you overcome them, like you said. But I used to, like, fight my head a lot to make me think, like, is this a reason why not to do it? Or is this a reason that something's wrong with me? Or should I, like, keep beating myself up a little more about feeling this? Or is this all
You know,
okay?
I think that's something Rocker probably doesn't do. I don't think Rocker beats himself up.
No.
If he gets bucked off or loses or whatever, or gets fined for cussing on a national stage, you know.
Yeah.
I just don't think he's like over it a long time ago.
He's got to some degree, though, because he come from a point where he never had to improve his life. And you cannot deny his work ethic. When it does go bad for him, he pushes himself to get better and better and better.
Yeah,
so to a certain, at least healthy and positive degree, he has to get down on himself at least enough to tell himself he needs to get better.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point.
Yeah, there's a lot of winners out there that are hard on themselves, like you're saying. But the only way for me to think for people to overcome that is to be honest with people about it, because that person's going to find out there's a million other people that are the same way. So what strengthens a person is by having more people. You know, like strength in numbers. Yeah. And so everybody's got to find people. It's no different than being a believer and being an active follower of Jesus is surrounding yourself with people that are the same way. No different in anything, you know, being a good bronc rider, surrounding yourselves with good bronc riders.
You think you were a better bronc rider because of the traveling partners you had?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
I think you can see that happening, and I think a lot of almost any discipline. Like, you just kind of catch the best guys hanging out with the best guys.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, that's a crazy truth about it.
I've got a lot of good friends that I can't travel with. Got good guys that are good in the arena, too, that I can't travel with, because sometimes if you don't feed off each other and support each other, it doesn't work. And I don't know. That's the whole sole reason I left Florida, was just simply not because I didn't like it down there, but there just wasn't there wasn't enough high caliber competition to make me better, you know, and so I didn't want to plateau.
Yeah.
You know, so
I think
everybody
that's
hits
a great
that point.
mic drop right there for the cowboy perspective. Go find high caliber competition, like whatever you want to do, even if you don't know what you want to do, go get around high performers. And some of them will be assholes, but some of them will bring you in and teach you everything you can do and go, that's the ones.
Mm-hmm.
So Isaac, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks.
Kyle, thanks for
fun.
co-hosting with me. It was a lot of fun. Like, we've talked for, I bet, hour and 45 minutes. And I was never bored for a second. So I hope you guys watching, listening, enjoy it as much as we did. And if you did, tell somebody. If you didn't, tell me. We'll see what we can do about that. Y'all keep coming.
We've come to the end of another conversation. Oh, by the way, thanks for listening. If you're hearing this, you spent a lot of time paying attention to me and my guests and being a part of the TCB Nation. If you loved it, tell somebody. If you didn't like it, tell me. We'll catch you next time. Thanks for joining us on this trot around the pasture.